Okay. Season 2, episode 18 of the Hall of Fame show is back off of video because even though it's number 18, the number of Peyton Manning, his forehead's big, my forehead's red. I went out in the... Well, thank you. I went out in the sun a couple days ago. My beautiful wife and I, we celebrated our 13th anniversary. And out here in the Caribbean, we went on a boat, swam with some big, giant turtles. And I didn't put enough sunscreen on, but I had my sunglasses on the whole time. So, I don't think anyone really needs to see my face, or nor do I want you to. I look like a Mexican wrestling mask.
Well, first of all, I know what happened. You've had all that ash from neighboring islands, so you weren't used to the sun getting through. So that's the first thing.
That could be it.
But I do have to say, I think that we spend so much on the production budget of our podcast. Maybe we need to move some of it into like makeup. We need a makeup person.
Well, I'm not very organized because I hired one. The only problem is she's in the States and I'm in Barbados. I forgot about the whole budget to fly her down here.
Well, I will say, having been on a game show once with Jeopardy, I was amazed at the amount of makeup that was on my face for just to be on that one episode. And then afterwards, my wife couldn't come out, so it was my sister and I were out in Los Angeles. And we left Jeopardy. We took a cab. We ended up going to a mall to get some lunch quickly. And I still had all the makeup on my face. It felt really, really weird. And like nobody looked at me differently. Maybe because it was LA and they're just used to it. Or maybe it actually made me look not so terrible. So who knows?
Well, were you part of the Jeopardy community that was in an uproar? I forgot to ask you that.
I saw that. So here's the thing about being on Jeopardy and losing. It's hard to watch Jeopardy again. So, and plus I have kids, so it's on at a time I don't normally see. It's easier when they get a little bit older, but like Jeopardy usually is on. I actually don't even know if it's on. Sometimes it's on at 4:00. I've seen in different places, and then I'm working, or it's on at 7:00, and that's putting kids to bed. So I haven't really watched that. Much. So.
All right. So for those wondering,
I did see the uproar though.
Okay. Yeah. So for those wondering what we're talking about, a 3-time winner flashed an OK sign, which he said was a number 3. The OK sign is now apparently bad.
Well, it's used by white supremacists because if you look at it, it looks like a W and a P. A little bit if you hold it the right way, and so standing for white power.
But you know that?
I don't know if you remember 2 years ago, last year.
Yeah,
there was a whole thing at the Army Navy game where all I think they're the Army cadets were there, and they said they were just playing that stupid game, where you look at the circle and punch each other on camera. But there was an uproar when it happened there too. So.
Do you know where that came from? Because I found out how that whole originated from. It was actually a bunch of right-wing trolls who made that up. And then it became adopted. Yeah,
well, that's what usually happens.
So technically it didn't come from a bunch of Nazis who now some of them adopted. But the worst thing I ever saw was when this whole uproar came, and then people said, like, he looks at trivia for a living. Well, okay, I'm sure he doesn't. And B, I'm pretty sure he's not thinking, okay, I'll take hand signals that are now offensive for 200, please. I had explained that to my dad, who had no clue. My wife, who had no clue. Most people right now don't know that. So, yeah. I know I don't do it anymore because I don't want anyone thinking that. But they have to tell the NBA.
Yeah, who knows? And scuba divers, because that's how you show everything's okay. Because a thumbs up signal means you're going up. Scuba diving.
Oh, look what I learned today. See, that's you studied
when you get in the water before you go down, you put the OK symbol up over your head so everybody knows that everything's fine, so you can dive down.
Right,
also when you surface again. So.
Well, we should probably get right to the main event. We've got a lot to talk about, which is primarily the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. This morning they announced their class of 2021. This is the biggest class I can think of in a long, long time, and it's interesting in some ways.
Yeah, I mean, it's very interesting. It's a very good class. There are two things that are a little confusing to me, but and there's one thing which you not going to be surprised. I'm super, super excited about.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Well,
go ahead. Why don't you?
Let's open with that.
Go through and name everybody.
Let's open with that because that's the one I know that you're the most excited about. Tina Turner inducted, second female to be part of the Clyde McPhatter Club.
Yep, and should have been the first. No offense to what can they rename from Blondie?
Stevie Nicks, but she is blonde.
Stevie Nicks. Yeah, sorry, not Blondie. Stevie Nicks. No offense to Stevie Nicks from Fleetwood Mac. Yes, sorry. Tina Turner should have been the first woman inducted twice, and it should have been a very long time ago.
Yeah. Finally nominated for the first time, so no shock there. I guess two other ones that are really no shocks at all. Jay-Z and the Foo Fighters, both on their first year of eligibility, both cruise in. I wish we knew by how much.
Yeah, although it's interesting, for the first time ever, when we got to one of these people, there was an interview with, what can I think of his name? John Sykes, the new president of the Rock Hall.
Yep.
And he actually said that we had a unanimous person get in, and I'll tell you who it is when we get there.
Oh, so it's not one of these three?
It is not. They were in one of the subcommittees.
Subcommittees. Okay, I didn't catch this interview, so I'm not even aware of these subcommittees.
Well, it's the other awards, the other groups.
Well,
the other folks who got in, the early influence, musical excellence, and Amit Ertegun.
Uh-huh. No, I'm aware of those subcommittees, but I mean, I guess I wasn't aware how they decided this, like how these.
Oh yeah,
like who's in this committee.
Oh, we can go through that a little bit when we get there.
Beautiful. All right, so we got those
coming attractions.
Coming attractions. Coming attraction. No, damn it, I got nothing. The movie theaters haven't been open for a long time. I'm out of practice.
Actually, hold on. This is a little separate thing. So my kids, my oldest and my niece were supposed to have their first communions last year. Mm-hmm. And then COVID hit and everything. So we actually had it this past weekend. And because we're Irish and not Italian, we didn't have any hits. Just, that's what happens to The Godfather every time it's a religious scene, somebody dies. But afterwards, my wife and sister-in-law actually rented out an entire theater. So one of the 22 theaters in the Superplex, just for our family. And we watched Raya and the Last Dragon, which is a really, really good Disney film. What may honestly be the best Disney film ever, in my opinion. And believe me, with two kids, I've seen them all. But we rented the whole thing out, and it was actually pretty cool. The kids were real excited. It cost $175, which, seeing as there were 13 of us, is essentially tickets and popcorn anyway. Mm-hmm. And we just had the whole theater. It's a really cool idea, and I highly recommend it if anybody's interested in doing it just in general normally. So,
wouldn't it have been sort of really upsetting though if you get there and then they said they got the movie wrong and it was actually the 1984 film The Last Dragon starring Vanity? Okay.
Yeah, probably not the best.
All right. I've probably got a lot of people tuning off after that one. Another one that I think you and I are both very happy about, you probably more than myself, Carole King. Technically not a Clyde McPhatter member because she's already in as a songwriter.
Right. Yeah, and I'm very happy about Carole King. She's somebody who long deserved it. Hold on a second, we get to the results here. So Carole King actually, with her induction, this is her second time being inducted. The first time was back in 1989, I believe. Yeah, 1989. So the nominee list of 1989 now has, how many of them were there? There are 30 in 1989. She becomes the 29th person of the 30 to be inducted into the hall. The one holdout now is Chuck Willis. So everybody else is now in the Hall of Fame except for Chuck Willis.
Damn. Todd Rundgren also enters.
Yeah. The singer-songwriter category, I guess.
Well, I thought that he was probably going to get in, but I thought he'd get in through the other methods.
Yeah, well, I did too. I'm not surprised. I don't think either of us are surprised he's in. I think both of us thought that if he didn't get in this time, they'd find a side category for him to get in.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, he's officially in, and someone who's been there for 3 years in that category, which is good for a whole bunch of other folks who I've expected to be considered who haven't been, mainly because he's been blocking them. We'll get to who we think this class is good for later, right?
Yeah, definitely. And the Go-Go's, also like Tina Turner, first time nominated, first time in. Been eligible for a long time.
Yeah, they were shocked. They did not think they were getting in. All of them. Kathy Valentine had a really good one. Belinda Carlisle, like they all just didn't expect ever to get in, even though they were nominated for the first time. So like originally we didn't get nominated because we're girls and don't nominate girl groups. And then he's like, and then we didn't think we were going to get in because they've just gone a completely different direction with things. But probably the first, I'm safe in saying the first group of women rockers who basically, they came out of the LA punk scene, mostly.
Mm-hmm. They did.
And they didn't have many records, but they're very, very deserving, and it's really good to see them go in. I mean, we had 3 of the 6 groups were female this time, which is not normal for this.
And this would have been the 3 that we would have thought.
Agreed. Yeah. I mean, Dionne Warwick had an outside shot. I thought that Mary J. Blige might get some more support, but if only 3 are going in, these were the 3 I expected it to be. Although I was expecting a 4th to go in a different way, which we'll talk about in a second.
Okay. So we can go right to the Early Influence Awards, which has now popped back up. You never know when it's going to come up.
Well, they changed it. Somebody noticed that online, that they actually changed the Early Influence Award.
Okay. How so?
So it used to be, I'm trying to find the definition of the Early Influence Award here. No, a second here. Go ahead, keep talking, and I'll find what I was looking for. That's the one thing I didn't pull up when I meant to.
All right, so there's 3 inductees, which I'm not sure if this is the first time they've done multiple times, but I know we're both super happy about one. Well, I'm happy about one very much so. You another one, and then third is a nice surprise. I thought he's been long forgotten. The one I'm super stoked about, and I just realized I'm going to have to change my logo. The Not in Hall of Fame logo.
You are. I was thinking about that. Not often do we have to change the logo, but yeah,
it's been a while, yes. Kraftwerk, the German synth pioneers that if anyone's using any kind of electronica, chances are Kraftwerk is 6 steps away from what they're doing. In some cases, very close.
They're the most sampled band of all time, correct?
Not the most sampled artist, that's James Brown, but yes. Right.
Yeah, the most sampled band, and I believe the third most sampled is Fela Kuti, who did not make it in.
Yes, who did not. I thought. Well, we'll get to that after. But yeah, Kraftwerk, I'm super happy about. Like I've said many times, I doubt they give a shit. I doubt that most of their fans really give a shit. I think those who do care are people like you and me who are big fans of the Rock Hall and really want to hold them accountable on that line where it's all about celebrating influence. Well, you don't get much more influential than what Kraftwerk has done. All they had to do was not be nominated to get in. Go figure.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, I was looking at. I was trying to update my spreadsheet, and I wasn't exactly sure what to do with Kraftwerk because I was like, they weren't nominated, but they got in. It's a weird sort of thing. So, yeah, it's overdue. It's certainly overdue.
Well, isn't it like when Nile Rodgers got in, but Chic was nominated at the same time?
Yeah.
It's like that had like. God, I don't know the Chic band members that well, other than Nile, of course, but I'm assuming some of them are still alive.
It's like the old Gilligan's Island. They named 5 characters and then said, and the rest.
Yeah.
It's now Rogers ended it.
Oh, man. So I'm super happy about them. Yeah, I guess we have to figure out who we're gonna change that logo to. Better get out my artist for that. Gil Scott Heron got in. You talked a lot about him last week. You must be stoked.
My favorite. This is my one I said a few weeks ago that if you gave me the power to put one artist into the Rock Hall, without question, it would be Gil Scott Heron. Absolute pioneer in rap, the development of rap music. Honestly, in many ways, he's a spoken word artist.
Yes.
Like one of my favorites is his story. I don't know if you know that one. It's all about the colonialism of Africa and the way the Europeans dealt with the people who are living there and all sorts of stuff. It's so poignant and so good. But he's really, in many ways, a spoken word artist, which is a little bit weird for the Rock Hall, but undeniably influential. And somebody who I never necessarily thought would get nominated. Actually,
well, he never did.
People over. I'm sorry?
Well, he never did get nominated.
Well, he never did get nominated. You're right. No, agreed. He never did get nominated, but it's super exciting to see him here. As I joked a few weeks ago, the only reason I'd vote for Fela Kuti, and if Fela Kuti got in, who is that open the door for? The only person I'd come up with was Gil Scott Heron. But he's already here. So, great. This is amazing. I'm very, very excited. I think he most certainly deserves to be there, and I wouldn't say it's overdue. His recognition is overdue. He passed 6 or 7 years ago at this point. But yeah, Gil Scott Heron he's awesome.
Third inductee, Charlie Patton, referred to as the father of the Delta Blues. If you're going to have someone who really defines early influence and someone who hasn't really been there, who hasn't been really thought of too much since, he's the perfect person. I saw a lot of people online hoping the spot, if this was going to come up at all, and obviously it did, go to Big Mama Thornton. Mm-hmm. And that can still certainly happen in the future.
Yeah, Big Mama Thornton is definitely another one. But I mean, they got the creators of electronic music, the creators of the Delta Blues, and basically the first spoken word artist and one of the forerunners of rap music. Like, that's what early influence should be for. And let me just read you, by the way, how it changed.
Please.
So here's what the definition of the early influence used to be. So early influences, honoring the artists that predate the birth of rock and roll, but have had a profound impact on music's evolution and its iconic artists. Okay? Mm-hmm. Here's what it now says. The Early Influence Award shall be given to a performing artist or group whose music and performance style have directly influenced and helped inspire and evolve rock and roll and music that has impacted youth culture. So that interview, there's a subtle distinction there. Like, this doesn't mean that the previous was like pre-rock and roll, although Wanda Jackson got it once and she's not pre-rock and roll. But this new way that they have redefined it is very interesting, the way they did it. And let me just see exactly what he said. So John Sykes was asked directly by Billboard on this. And the question from Billboard is, it was jarring at first to see Gil Scott Heron and Kraftwerk inducted as early influence, as both released their first albums in 1970. Is that considered early now? Here's his response. 51 years is a long time. That's twice as long as someone would need to be eligible to be in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. If you put out a record in 1996, this is when I was running VH1, you're eligible for the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. If you put out a record 25 years ago, it could have been a rock record, a hip-hop record. We're seeing a major cultural shift at that time in music that connected young people in America. The music world is constantly evolving. The Hall of Fame, in order to remain relevant, has to evolve with it and honor those artists that were releasing the music that began to change culture more than 25 years ago. What he's essentially saying is they're using this early influence group, it seems to me, as a seniors committee.
I think you're right, but with a bit of a twist, though. This could open up, and maybe we're jumping the gun here, but with this new definition, I can see this helping a group like MC5.
100%. 100% on MC5.
Yeah, some like a group that really altered a sound, but didn't really sell a whole lot of records, and they're just not getting in through traditional means at all, and they probably never will.
Yeah, but I mean, this opens up to. I mean, another one I thought of right away is Sugar Hill Gang.
Yep.
Like that's another one. Like the way the sound and everything has changed. Like if the way they're doing is who created the beginnings of the music that influences the way we listen to music today. Like Kraftwerk has to be there. Has to be.
Mm-hmm.
Like if that's your definition, electronic and EDM and everything else, their whole birth is in Kraftwerk. So if that's your definition, any of those type of people who are making those changes are definitely going to be looked at here, presuming they keep this category under those definitions. And with the Rock Hall, as we all know, that's impossible to know. So
that's so true. I'm trying to think who else off the top of my head.
Go ahead.
Well, I'm just trying to think, like, off the top of my head, who else this could possibly benefit in a different type of way. It'll come to me as soon as the show is over. I guess we'll just move on to one that was a little weird. Well, 2 out of 3 weren't weird. The Musical Excellence Award inductees. I want to end with the one I consider a little weird. I think you do too. Billy Preston, no shocked at all.
No. I mean, he's one of those guys who has been around for a long time. He had his own solo career, but was one of those guys who played with literally everybody.
Mm-hmm.
There's actually, going to the Rock Hall, there's a whole section of Billy Preston in there already. So if they had the kind of a sidemen category, back when they did the sidemen category, I kind of felt like Billy Preston was someone who might end up there, much like Leon Russell did.
Yeah.
Right? Like sort of that, another guy who had his own career but played with everybody. And I'm really excited. I think he deserves to be there, certainly.
I should know this, but is he still alive?
I actually don't know if Billy Preston's still alive. I should know this too. I'll double check right now while we're talking.
All right, so while you're looking up that, we'll talk about someone who I know is dead. Randy Rhoads, which no heavy metal band got in, but damn, Randy, what an axe man. If you want to talk about just the progression of heavy metal guitars, this is the guy. And I'm personally very excited to see him end up. Ozzy Osbourne's solo career does not really exist without Randy Rhoads, in my opinion.
100%. 100%. Yeah, I mean the announcement. My one quibble with their announcement is it's always too short.
Mm-hmm.
I think they should give 10 to 15 seconds for each artist. Give you a background song. But I think it was this. I can't remember what Randy Rhoads song it was, or they were playing, but that was definitely the highlight. Like the 2 seconds we got of Randy Rhoads playing guitar was the highlight of the announcement. So, absolutely deserves to be there.
Well, there's a lot that they sort of do wrong that I want to talk about. Just observations that my wife made this morning. But I guess we'll finish up with that because I really want to talk about LL. Oh, sorry, is Billy alive?
No, he passed away in 2006.
Oh, God. Okay. I didn't know that. LL Cool J, which... Musical Excellence Award inductee?
This is the one who got in unanimously.
Okay.
So for LL, let me just see if I can find the actual quote here. So for LL Cool J, the question is it fair to say if LL had been voted as performer, he wouldn't be receiving the award for musical excellence? So the LL has been nominated as performer 6 times. The Musical Excellence Stuff Committee includes Dale McDaniels from Run DMC. and he felt that it was time to recognize the incredible contributions of LL Cool J. Tom Morello of Rage Against the Machine is also on that committee, and everyone on that committee was unanimous that he should be inducted.
How big was this committee?
I don't know. At least 2.
So you went 2 for 2. All right. Well,
I'd imagine there's a third. There usually has to be at least 3. You'd imagine on the committee. The third was Ron Borges. No. Yeah.
But he was on the ballot, so I wonder. So at this point, do they already know that LL's not going to get in through the regular vote?
They must have.
And that's sort of like the really strange thing about this. Clearly, and we've seen this before, as we just talked about with Nile Rodgers. We've seen it before, actually, with Run DMC. No, with Run DMC? Which was the rap group? Grandmaster Flash, sorry.
With Grandmaster Flash, the Furious Five.
Right, okay. Where they decide they really want somebody in, and they're going to find a way to do it.
Yeah.
This feels like that.
Even if it keeps the Dave Clark 5 out for a year and makes Fox News' head explode. So.
Well, didn't one of them actually die in between?
That I don't know.
I think so. Now, granted, that's one of those things too. I mean, I've kind of struggled with that one because either you're Democratic or you're not. But I think you and I are probably of the same opinion that Grandmaster Flash should be in over Dave Clark 5.
100%, yes.
But that's not
I love Dave Clark 5, but they're not as important as Grandmaster Flash.
Sure, but then that's not what your voters decided. So, like, you couldn't have picked 6. That's all you had to do. Because you picked 6 this year.
And they picked 6 and 7 years before, so
right. I mean, it was such a simple.
And it's never going to be open. So
no. So that was the one that really felt crowbarred in because, well, I think it was. I wonder.
Well, here's the thing. I won't say I got in a disagreement, but I was commenting on something Tom Lane wrote earlier today, and actually one of the members of the nominating committee disagreed with me in the comments. So I said that the one thing that confused me was if you're going to take someone off of the ballot who didn't get in and put them in that musical excellence award thing, why is it LL Cool J and not Chaka Khan?
I was wondering the same thing.
And her response to me was like, they're both deserving. And I was like, I agree. They are both deserving. Like, I don't have a problem with LL Cool J being in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. I think there are other people who are more important, and the guy from the president went into a whole thing about why LL Cool J should be in. Regardless, it doesn't matter to me. I have no problem with LL Cool J does not diminish the Hall of Fame by his being in there.
No.
But Chaka Khan has had a longer career, has been waiting longer, has been nominated more times. If you're going to take somebody off, why is it LL and not Chaka? Because that's the other thing. We had 3 women get in, 3 female groups get in out of the 6, and then everybody else they added was a guy again.
I think Chaka needed this bet more, frankly.
Yeah, I think Chaka, if Chaka or Big Mama Thornton are one of the other people put in there, I think this is pretty much a perfect class. Like, I wish Rage Against the Machine had gotten in for reasons we've discussed before. I have absolutely no problem with any of the 6 they elected.
No.
Like, just because I wanted Rage Against the Machine doesn't mean that I wouldn't necessarily take off any of them. I'm not going to take Todd Rundgren off, who I'm pretty sure is really the 6th out of the 6. Just put Rage Against the Machine in. Todd Rundgren's are waiting longer. He deserves it. I have no problem with that. But if we're going to take somebody off, I don't get why it's LL and not Chaka Khan. That's the only thing.
I have to wonder if that was something they decided to do. Like one or the other. Or maybe they put them both on that list. We don't know. Again, it's the whole lack of transparency that really bothers me.
Right.
The final inductee was the Ahmet Ertegun Award. I always get that wrong. Clarence Avant, known as the Black Godfather. Very important individual in the formation of a lot of black music. Managed many great artists. and developed quite a few radio stations, I learned. I didn't know that until today.
Yeah, they thought that he was so overdue. They were thinking of, they mentioned they were thinking of having, usually have two people for Armin Ezergan and whatever the other award they have is.
Mm-hmm.
But they thought that he was so massively overlooked, they wanted just to have him go in that sort of special committee thing alone. I didn't see that. So kind of like the Patriots with Richard Seymour.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah, I have no issue with him being there. It's always hard for us to know exactly how important executives are. You know what I mean?
Right.
But it seems pretty unanimous that was the correct decision.
And so those not chosen, as we discussed, Shaka Khan, guaranteed she'll be back on the ballot next year. Devo.
With or without Rufus.
Yeah, with or without Rufus, yeah. Actually, wouldn't that be a great album title for her next thing, With or Without Rufus?
With or without Rufus? I like it. It's a combination of her and U2.
I like that.
Songs together.
I like that. I mean, she can still belt it, so why not?
She can indeed.
She can.
And she's from Chicago.
That's right.
So, yeah.
Devo, who is the biggest beneficiary of Kraftwerk's induction.
At least from this list. I think there's one band more beneficial, but yeah, we'll get to that in a second.
Okay. Dionne Warwick, who did not get in.
She knew this was coming.
Well, she should have called her friends, because that's what they're for.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Her friends are psychics, they're not voters. So.
No, I mean, it was a little bit of deja vu, but she'll calm herself on the way to San Jose as she walks on by.
Wow. Wow! Just go! How many can you do?
and then I hit a crash. Whamp whamp.
That's so impressive off the top of your head, my friend.
Not too bad. Fela Kuti, who did very, very well on the fan vote, way better than I thought he would do.
Well, he had the entire country of Nigeria, which is one of the most populous countries in the world, voting for him. So
yeah, I'm sure those direct flights from Lagos to Cleveland were about to be filled.
Actually, I got some guy actually sent me an email about you trying to sponsor him for that.
About that, yeah.
Yeah, he said he was a prince. I just had to send him some. It was weird.
Okay.
Anyway, he was holding money for me. I had to save him some money first, and
Right, let me know that works out.
Yeah, I will. So
Iron Maiden, who had no shot in hell, and they don't care, or they're pissed about it, which is more likely. Kate Bush, I think we knew she wasn't going to get in. She was probably the really. If it wasn't Iron Maiden, I think Kate Bush was really the odd person out.
Yeah, well, I mean, it's such a female-heavy ballot that it's hard for. She's not going to stand out with Tina Turner and Carole King and Dionne Warwick and Chaka Khan.
Well, actually, out of a police lineup, she does stand out the most.
Okay.
Okay. All right. I just realized how that sounded. She doesn't. All right. God damn it.
I mean, yeah, she doesn't. Yeah, she doesn't look or sound like anybody else. So
no, she doesn't. All right. Well, geez, I was trying to sound woke there for the first 20 minutes. I really blew that one, didn't I?
Oh, don't worry about that. Your lack of wokeness is going to be very, very comforting in the good, bad, and ugly when it comes later. So.
Oh, is it? Okay, good. Mary J. Blige, who I think she's a future inductee. I just don't know when.
Mm-hmm. Depends on who she's up against. All these people depend on who they're up against.
Yeah. And the New York Dolls, who could be part of that influence in the future.
Yep. That's another band I thought of right away. That's the third group. Like, if you're taking someone off, if you take Chaka Khan, I think the third one, well, since Todd Rundgren got elected, that third one would be the New York Dolls. Because there's somebody else who is going to have some trouble, I think, getting through the voting, much like MC5. But definitely influential in the way music has gone.
So who do we think now their chances have vastly improved?
All right, I got 5.
Okay.
Do you have any?
Well, I mentioned the one I feel the most strongly about with Devo in terms of their ability to get in. Now with LL in, I think this is going to LL Cool J sort of also clears off another rap spot. So if they want to sort of like continue along that genre and just more of the old school, Eric B. and Rakim, who have been nominated before, would be an excellent choice for that. Wu-Tang hasn't gotten any love yet. Now, I don't know that...
So I think Gil Scott-Heron helps Sugar Hill Gang and Eric B. and Rakim, and LL Cool J with Wu-Tang, A Tribe Called Quest, and Snoop. All have to be happy that LL's off the list.
Yeah, I would definitely agree with that. The other sort of like, I guess, visceral reactions that I sort of have. Do you think the Go-Go's entering help other female acts from the 80s, like the Bangles?
Yeah, so I think the three bands helped by the Bangles the most are the Go-Go's the most are the Bangles, the Eurythmics have been nominated before, and my favorite band for the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, the B-52s.
Okay.
I think the Go-Go's helped the B-52s get in. I personally, as I have said before, feel that if the B-52s are in many ways a novelty rock band, and I feel like they need to be behind Dr. Demento and Weird Al. But the Go-Go's getting in certainly helps their chances getting in.
I don't think Carole King helps anybody.
I came up with so you'd have to be like singer-songwriters from a long time ago. So maybe someone like Petula Clark, maybe someone like Nancy Sinatra. But I'm talking like, I'm not sure how much feeling there is for folks from that long ago getting in. I mean, if we're going back to the old nominees, maybe this reminds them, hey, we got Carole King in. Maybe we should go back and look at Esther Phillips or Mary Wells or someone along those lines who was nominated at the very beginning and then basically forgotten. So that might help them, even though Carole King and Mary Wells are not singing the same stuff. You know what I mean? But it's at least the same time period as someone who was important enough to nominate in the first classes and then has just never been looked at again.
Any other gut reactions from that? Do you think sort of the dominoes have fallen?
Yeah, I think Kraftwerk's number one beneficiary is Daft Punk.
Oh, that's true, yes.
I mean, they've only been eligible for 2 or 3 years, but and they just broke up. But there's no way that Daft Punk could get in mentally before Kraftwerk. And with Kraftwerk out of the way, there's nobody really standing between them and the Hall, except for I never remember except maybe Herbie Hancock.
You know, Daft Punk, if you're listening, and I know you really respect your privacy, if you get in, Evan and I can take your spots.
I can do electronica music in French. I can do it. But I mean, Herbie Hancock may actually also benefit from them getting in as well.
I got a weird one here. What about Tina Turner helping Cher? Powerful solo.
Oh no! I think Turner actually. I think the number one beneficiary of Tina Turner is Diana Ross.
That's true too.
I mean, Diana Ross, Patti LaBelle, Cher, like all of the divas who have been forgotten. Maybe even Mariah Carey. Like all of the divas who have been passed over at this point are massively helped by Tina Turner getting in.
Okay, all right. I'm just now picturing in my head a rock ceremony with acceptance speeches from Cher, Patti LaBelle, which would be fun, and then the drunken corpse of Mariah Carey.
I have to tell you though, Patti LaBelle may move into my number one position now that Gil Scott-Heron is in.
I got to figure out who's going to take over that picture. I think based on votes, maybe Jethro Tull. They've never even gotten a nomination.
Yeah, Jethro Tull's a good choice. One of the person I think makes a big difference for people getting in, because I don't think Jay-Z and the Foo Fighters really help anybody.
No.
just because they're just in and going through. It doesn't make a difference. Next year, Eminem is really the big name, and I'm not sure who else. But Todd Rundgren getting in is interesting because that opens up that singer-songwriter category, and I think Warren Zevon is next, in my opinion.
I would
also would shock me to see Phil Collins in that spot. So, I don't know, or maybe Brian Eno. I'm just trying to think of that spot's always gone to Stevie Ray Vaughan was in that spot at one point. We had Peter Gabriel's been in that spot. They nominated Sting that one year. That spot is now open again, and I think Zevon's probably the next one. But Phil Collins certainly wouldn't surprise me if he's the next person they decide to bring up. It wouldn't surprise me if they went back to somebody like I think of his name from years ago. Crap.
Well, while you're thinking of that, I mean, Jim Croce could come up out of nowhere.
Oh, I love Jim Croce. Graham Parsons.
Oh, yes.
Someone like Graham Parsons, who had 3 nominations and then disappeared. Steve Winwood has been nominated in that spot before. So there's some interesting people who can come. That one, I think, opens up the most variety of folks. I'm guessing it's Zevon, but it may not be.
Yeah, it could be so many different people.
Croce would be great.
Jim
Kirk should be awesome.
Oh, I'd love that.
Sorry, go ahead.
No, I would definitely love that. So if I could just sort of offer a bit of criticism, just something my wife sort of mentioned today, because we never Rock Hall. Can you just sort of come up with some kind of pattern though, and not just sort of say okay, well, we're going to announce this in a few days. When? In the morning? Well, what time? I don't know. We're rock and roll, man. We don't play by the rules. Play by a goddamn rule. There's a lot of us who give a shit about this stuff. Songs have structure.
They have a rule. No hard rock.
Yeah, okay, that's true. Yeah, so it's just
I thought Eddie Trunk's head was going to explode today, so.
Oh, what did he have to say?
Just that this isn't the Rock Hall. Basically, his whole thing he always does.
Okay.
And then this is, how can the Rock Hall if Iron Maiden can't get in and all these other rock groups can't get in? And someone was like, I'm going to have to deal with the fact that Iron Maiden won't be in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, but Bad Bunny will someday.
You can cry in Gene Simmons' wig.
Yeah. But I mean, if we're just doing the Rock, it's so limiting at this point. They're all just name it the Music Hall of Fame. But again, that guy said that the John Sykes, his art. You should really read that article. But he was asked if they were thinking of changing the name of the Rock Hall. Oh, and he said no. He said rock and roll. It's all about the music that influences youth culture, essentially, is what rock and roll is, and what it was when they were kids, and what it is now. And that was an interesting way to think of it, where culture is going through music. Used to be rock and roll, and now it's way more than that. Mm-hmm. And then we always come to the question as to, all right, we're just doing rock and roll. Where do you draw the line? Right? Like the Red Hot Chili Peppers. Are they a rock band? They rap a lot, or they use a lot of rap-type stuff in their music. So are they a rock band or not?
In my mind, they are.
In my mind, they are too. But, how about the Beastie Boys? Are they a rock band?
They can.
They can. Probably not, but they can be. Mm-hmm. How about the Bee Gees? Are they a rock band? They're a pop band. They play instruments.
Everything's so blurred that at this point,
exactly.
Yeah, I mean, I don't even really think this all matters. I get Eddie Trunk's point. I really do. but I don't know how someone with that type of musical credentials doesn't understand the other side of that coin. I really don't get it.
Well, his voting, he was one of the people who released his voting group, and everyone he voted for were white men. That's the only people he voted for.
You know what, though? He voted, and he told people what it was.
He did.
And you know what?
Did.
Most people didn't, so I will give him mad props for that, because most people don't.
That is true. So anyway,
I'm not going to vote shame him.
What rating would you give this class overall?
9.
Yeah, I give it like an 8.5. So I think overall it's a really, really strong class. The Rock Hall is better for these artists being in. I honestly think the only way, like, I think if they'd taken Shaka over LL, this would probably be a 9, maybe even 9.5 for me with the class. But no, it's a very, very good class. I think they did a good job. The biggest losers, again, are music from 1986 through 1995, because the Rage Against the Machine, as I've said before, needs to get in, just so we can have discussions about everybody else.
Yep.
And they didn't. So
no,
and now
none of those other.
We'll probably see Rage again, which means no Smashing Pumpkins, no Soundgarden, no Sonic Youth, no Social Distortion, no fill in your blank here with whoever the heck you want to talk about. Yeah. They're not even going to get discussed because of that.
That's the next big glut of bands.
Yeah. Well, but we're still working our way through the 70s.
Yeah, like the Spinner said, they'll be working our way back to... No. Let's move on.
Billy Preston? Does it move it? What's the Billy Preston song about the circle? Oh, I just had it in my head. It just disappeared. Billy Preston Circle. Yeah, we'll go round in circles. That's the name of the song.
All right. Well, if we have any listeners left, let's just move on to the next part.
I'm sure we do.
Should we go with the people who died?
Sure, why not? It actually, unfortunately, pairs pretty well, because we actually lost a couple of Rock Hall of Famers this week.
All right, go ahead. Let's open.
Actually, one we lost last week, but we didn't find out until this week.
Yeah.
And so that was Lloyd Price passed away. Lloyd Price, probably best known for Stagger Lee.
Love that song.
I'd say. Yeah, Stagger Lee is, whenever they talk about the way that music has gone, with violence and everything, just bring him to Stagger Lee. Dude lost a gambling match shooting dice and goes into a bar and blows the guy away after he says, "Don't shoot me, I got kids." He's like, "Fine, I don't care," and shoots him. And it was like, "Go Stagger Lee!" But no, Lloyd Price was nominated the first 4 years of the Rock Hall and was inducted. When was Lloyd Price inducted? Lloyd Price was inducted in... I can't find it.
While you're looking up that, another thing that is really interesting about Lloyd Price, I was trying to find that, but I couldn't, but I think he was instrumental in introducing Don King to Muhammad Ali.
Interesting.
May not have worked too good out for Ali at the end of it, but arguably without Lloyd Price, there's no Rumble in the Jungle.
Yeah, there is. During the 70s, he's helped boxing promoter Don King promote fights, including the Rumble in the Jungle match. And it's a company concert which featured James Brown and B.B. King.
How awesome
so he was elected in 1998 on his 7th nomination.
Okay.
Along with the Eagles, Fleetwood Mac, Mamas and Papas, Santana, and Gene Vincent. So, the Lloyd Price passed away at the age of 88 in New Rochelle, New York, after growing up in Kenner, Louisiana. So, he was one of the real important people in the early part of rock and roll. I mean, his first hit was 1952.
That, to me, is so amazing, because when rock and roll really hit, the amount of artists that managed to do well pre and post that era, are few and far between.
True. Yeah, he charted first in 52, and his last charting at number 99 was 1976. That's 24 years later. Mm-hmm. So did pretty well. Staggerly, personality, I'm Gonna Get Married, all went to number one, as well as his first song, Lottie Miss Claudie, in 1952, also went to number one in the R&B track.
Really fun jump blues song. I've been listening to a lot of pre-rock.
So Lloyd Price, one of the real pioneers in rock and roll, passed away at the age of 88.
Mm-hmm. Did it say why they didn't announce it for a few days? I couldn't find that.
I don't know why they didn't. Because he died on the 4th. We didn't find out until
the 8th,
earlier this week. So, yeah. So, we also lost Purvis Staples of the Staples Singers.
Oh, I didn't read that.
Purvis Staples passed away. The son of the Staples Singers passed away at the age of 85. He would have been 86 later this year, leaving Mavis as the lone remaining Staples singer. But he was the Staples Singers. For those of you guys who don't know, were one of the great, I guess, soul, funk, blues, R&B type groups of the 70s. If you ever watch Soul Train, you will see the Staples Singers show up on a fairly regular basis. And if you haven't watched Soul Train, younger people, just go watch a Soul Train episode. Don Cornelius. Is he in the Rock Hall? Don Cornelius in the Rock Hall?
I think so.
If he's not, he better be. Because I only really look at the artist. I actually don't know if Don Cornelius is in there. But they, the Staples Singers are a group of siblings, and they're very, the first, well, maybe not the first, but one of the most visible dads, the LeVar Ball of his day. And
I don't think that's...
Would you say that's true?
Yeah, but LeVar couldn't play despite his boasting. The dad was in the band.
That is true. The dad was in the band.
He went out there and said, I can go out and sell an arena. And he actually did. Yeah,
the dude's name was Roebuck, too. Pop Staples' real first name was Roebuck. As if he was the other part of Sears. But yeah, the Staples Singers had "I'll Take You There," "If You're Ready," "Let's Do It Again," a ton of them, and they were real big from
huge.
The late '60s into the early '80s, early mid '80s. But yeah, so Purvis passed away at the age of 85, and Mavis is 82. Mm-hmm. So she can still sing. I don't know if you've heard Mavis Staples recently.
Not recently, no.
That woman at 82 can still belt it. So may she live very, very long time. Mm-hmm. But yeah, we're down to our last Staples singer at this point. Also semi-rock and roll related, Tawny Kitaen passed away this week.
Yeah, I was wondering if you were going to mention that. I don't know about you, because this is where our age difference sort of comes up a little bit. That was like every high school dream for so many people, those Whitesnake videos. I know in some ways maybe they don't necessarily age that well, but compared to what was around that with Warrant's horrible Cherry Pie, just going really, really far with that, Tawny was sexy as hell, but fought a lot of demons. Can't say that I'm surprised that she passed away before 60 with the hard life she lived, which is unfortunate.
And also, don't forget her against opposite Tom Hanks in Bachelor Party.
And married to someone on the baseball list, not Hall of Fame baseball list.
Yeah, Chuck Finley.
That's right. Yeah, I think he accused her of beating him up, if I remember right.
I believe that is correct. But I mean, just remember, just in case you're wondering how influential she was So remember the Bowling for Soup song, 1985, right?
I do.
She was going to be an actress. She was going to be a star. She's going to shake her ass on the hood of White Snake's car. Like everyone wanted to be Tawny Kitaen. All the guys wanted Tawny Kitaen, and the girls wanted to be Tawny Kitaen.
For a couple years later.
I'm sorry?
For a couple years anyway, and then, she got into that white car and then really hit the wall pretty fast, but anyway.
Yeah, anyway. But yeah, she passed away at the age of 59. The cause of death not immediately known.
But, it's...
But we'll find it in 4 months that it was probably what we expect it was.
Just a lot of things finally catching up. I don't know. I hope she was clean at the end. I was looking at her cameo. Still has amazing hair.
Mm-hmm. Well, she was tweeting like the morning that she passed away.
I did see that, yeah.
Someone had sent her a picture, a very boobalicious picture, and she said, "Thank you for sending me this picture." And then she passed away that afternoon. So, who knows? We also lost from the world of music Bob Coaster, who is the founder of Delmark Records, which is a jazz and blues label based out of Chicago and St. Louis. He was 89 years old when he passed. Also this week, we lost Del Crandall, who is an American professional baseball player and manager, also the last surviving player ever who played for the Boston Braves.
Oh, wow.
So anyone who ever played for the Boston Braves has now passed away. He was 91 when he passed away. He played from 1949 through 1966. Also is 11-time All-Star. 53 to 56, 58 to 60, 62 twice. Back when 60, 61, and 62, they had the two All-Star games. Won a World Series in 1957. 4-time Gold Glover, member of the Braves Hall of Fame. Hit 254. Had 179 hits, 179 home runs, 657 RBI. Never going to be a Hall of Famer. But, I mean, being an 11-time All-Star is not the easiest thing to do.
Wow, very good player. Very good player.
Yeah. So, anyway, he passed away at the age of 91. He suffered from Parkinson's and heart disease and had several strokes before he passed away. From the world of football, we lost Jim Bertelsen, who was Pro Bowler in 1973, running back with the LA Rams. He passed away at the age of 71. From the world of acting, I just want to bring up Neil Connery passed away. Sean Connery's younger brother.
Oh.
Was 82. He was in a whole bunch of I think of him most in... Did you ever watch Mystery Science Theater 3000?
Oh, yes.
So did you ever see the one where they did OK Connery, where Sean Connery played basically his brother playing James Bond?
No, I didn't see that one.
But yeah, that was one of the ones that they did in Mystery Science Theater 3000. So I very much enjoyed that. I always think of him from that. So he passed away at the age of 82, and passed away at the age of 106 was Norman Lloyd. Do you remember the name? You know Norman Lloyd?
I didn't know the name, but when I saw the obit on, I think it was on CNN.com, or it would have been CNN. He was in St. Elsewhere, a very underappreciated show.
Yes, well, it took place in Boston, so not underappreciated in my household.
Okay,
but actually took place in a snow globe. Spoiler alert.
Yeah.
But no, his first credits are in October of 1932.
Jesus.
And he was active all the way through. The last thing I could find him in was Trainwreck in 2015.
Oh my God. I don't remember him in that.
Yeah, he played someone named Norman in Trainwreck. So, I mean, he was in Saboteur, which is the Hitchcock. He worked with Hitchcock. Mm-hmm. He worked with Charlie Chaplin. he worked the amount of people he worked with over the years is absolutely incredible. And at 106, he certainly lived a long time and had one hell of a life. So aren't that many people make the 106, and I thought it'd be good to just give Norman Lloyd a shout out. We also lost a great Canadian, Graham Ferguson. Do you know what Graham Ferguson invented?
A little Ferguson?
He was a member of the Order of Canada. He is the inventor of the IMAX film.
Oh, okay. I didn't know that was a Canadian thing.
He was. He passed away at the age of 91. He and his wife came up with it, and then he may or may not have been cheating with his woman who became his second wife. Well, with his first wife sued, and there became a whole to-do. But he and his first wife, Betty Ferguson, were the creators of IMAX film. But he passed at 91. And finally, the Beige Mistress did strike again, taking Hungarian sailor from the 1968 Summer Olympics, Pal Gumeri, I guess. It's P-A with an accent over an L, second name G-O with an umlaut, M-O with an umlaut, R-Y. I can't even begin to pronounce it, so I'll go with Pal Gumeri. Passed away at the age of 85. So for those of you who don't know, I noticed when we started doing this last year that like 18 or 19 weeks in a row, a Hungarian athlete had passed away. And so we came up with the Beige Mistress as opposed to the Black Widow as the person who's killing Hungarian athletes. So she's been quiet for a few weeks, but we have lost Pal Gomeri as part of this. So
who would be the discount? Who would be the discount Scarlett Johansson that could play her? Hilary Duff. Yeah, maybe like the Lacey Chabert for Jennifer Love Hewitt. Yeah, exactly.
Lacey Chabert is a much better actress because I've seen her in all these Hallmark movies that my wife watches. Much better actress than Jennifer Love Hewitt. Unfortunately, Jennifer Love Hewitt had bigger boobs, and they looked exactly alike. So
yeah, but you know what though? Women watch Hallmark movies the way men watch porn, and it's not for the acting. I don't quite know what I mean by that, but it's not one of my most fully formed ideas because I just thought of it.
Well, one of my favorite things about Hallmark movies is like there's a time in Hollywood where someone came up with an idea and some other studio was like, we need that movie too. It's like we had Dante's Peak and Volcano at the same time, and we had like Deep Impact and Armageddon at the same time. Mm-hmm. Hallmark does that, but with their own station. So there was, I don't know, a couple years ago, we came up with, they came up with like 3 movies, all of which were about ice sculpting. Romance is all about on some sort of ice sculpture competition. And I was like you had the idea and just gave it to 3 different people to come up with. And like, yeah, you guys wrote this, we'll just make it. It's weird how they do that. There are only so many things I suppose they can do with Christmas movies. It's just weird when they just come up with like multiples of the same idea in the same season. So.
I don't know how to segue out of Hallmark to one of our segments.
I don't know. You want to do elevator up?
Sure.
I think your elevator down may go with Hallmark a little bit.
Yeah, maybe.
Same sort of people are watching it.
All right. Well, my elevator up is a pretty simple one. I didn't.
Wait, hold on. Do you have your sound effect?
Nah,
sound effect.
I didn't. Dang! I didn't set it up. I set up the others.
Oh, boo. Okay, go ahead.
All right, it's a real easy one, and someone I don't think he's even 25 yet, or if he is, he just turned 25. And it's the team that I'm hoping wins the Stanley Cup this year, now that Ottawa had no chance of ever getting in. The Edmonton Oilers and Connor McDavid, who hasn't won the Hart, but he will. He hasn't officially won the Art Ross, but he will. Nobody who's won the Art Ross once has not gotten into the Hockey Hall of Fame. He's going to win it 3 times. He is scored 100 points in under 60 games, and this isn't the 80s and early 90s. That's pretty damn hard to do.
It's ridiculous.
So
what he's doing is ridiculous.
It really is. I'm cheering really hard for the Oilers. I know they've won a lot of stuff in Edmonton, but I used to live near Edmonton. They don't have anything else. So let them have this one. Sorry, Bruins fan that I'm talking to. But I mean,
that's okay. We gotta get out of a ridiculous division. So there's a long way. I can root for Edmonton until we get to the finals, and it's not like we've ever lost the Oilers in the finals before. So
yeah, no, well, it was 1990, I believe.
1990, very good.
Yeah,
well done.
Thank you. I'm not the co-host of the show for nothing.
Yes, you're the co-host.
Well, I don't introduce myself as the host anymore, so there's that.
That's true. I guess that's true.
Yeah.
So anyway, go ahead.
You got promoted.
that actually happened to me at work because there's like levels for my job that you can go up to, and they eliminate. I just took this new job with the company last May, so I was at the bottom level, moving my way up through things, and they eliminated my level. So I actually technically got promoted. It was wonderful. They're like, you can't get promoted again for 2 years. I'm like, what do I care? I got promoted a year early, so who cares?
Nice. So yeah, for me that was a really easy one. I had a few things for Elevator Down. This one I do have queued up here because that was a different horn, but that's okay. That's the Price Isn't Right.
That was fine.
Yeah, so I had a couple in mind. I could have went with. I do want to comment briefly. Albert Pujols, he should have retired 3 years ago.
Mm-hmm.
I looked up what he has accomplished in the last 6 years. $150 million with a WAR of 0.
That's not so good.
It's pretty. If it wasn't for Chris Davis, he's been the worst player in baseball. It's sad to watch a legend end this way, but no team's going to pick him up, and no team should.
Yeah,
I hate to say it. So that's not necessarily. This obviously does not affect the fact that he's a first ballot Hall of Famer. Could be unanimous, and possibly should be. I just hate seeing somebody who just doesn't know that it's over. It's sad to see, but I'm glad the Angels did what they did because they had to. They really had to.
Yeah.
So I thought about going with Pujols. I thought about going with Rick Tocchet, who lost his job as the Coyotes head coach. And Tocchet's sort of a fringe guy for the Hall as a player. Like really good if he was your second line winger, but not if he was your top guy. But just a great player you wanted on your team. He's done okay as a coach, but 4 years with the Coyotes has only made the playoffs once. Let go. I don't know when he's going to get another opportunity as a head coach. So I really decided I'm going to go with a rant. And
go for it.
And it's another one on award shows. And like you sent to me, again. And it's really interesting considering. I'm going to rant about another show I didn't watch, the Golden Globes. But this is actually one I kind of like to watch because they're all getting drunk.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of people like to watch it, not because they really gave a shit, but because this is the one time that these celebrities were super relaxed, and it seemed like a lot of fun. But now they've decided here in 2021 that it's too corrupt and too white, which it always has been.
Mm-hmm.
So a week before the Golden Globes came out, LA Times did a story about how all the members of the Hollywood Foreign Press are, I don't know about all of them, but none of them are black. Now, they're all based in LA, from what I understand, and most of them don't actually work for any kind of foreign press.
Okay.
Which is pretty bad. Now, if you're in LA, I haven't been to LA, Evan, and I know that this is your country, but I'm pretty sure I could find quite a few black reviewers who could be qualified to do this. Wouldn't you say?
That would take effort, though, man. I don't know. Yes, you could.
I'm sure you could. And so a couple things came up, how they all got to go on some junket for Paris or something, all paid for, so that they could do some show on Netflix called Emily in Paris, which apparently sucks. Don't know, didn't watch it. I just know the reviews were bad. But so clearly there's a bit of corruption. This is also the same award show that awarded Pia Zadora the best new star in 1982. Look that up, kids. It's really a funny story. Pretty much her Svengali husband bought it for her. I just read it. I read a bit here because she beat out who was it? Crap. Apparently, Tim. I forget who it was who she beat out, but people who actually went on to have stars. Pia Zadora in an interview later on said, like, she knew she didn't think she was going to win. Went up there and then she tried to focus just in the crowd as she was super nervous accepting her award. And then she saw Sally Field, and so she just focused on Sally Field. And Sally Field apparently mouthed the words Pia Zadora. But the general belief is that her then husband, a rich multimillionaire from Israel, bought the whole thing for her, which has probably happened. So I guess my point is, this whole thing has been bullshit from the start. And nobody knows who really is in the Hollywood foreign press, but I'm sure they do in Hollywood. So I guess where I'm going here with this, Evan, as I'm sure all these actors who are now saying, like Tom Cruise is giving his 3 back, they do these press circuits. They knew who these writers were and voters were. Mark Ruffalo, you're the biggest piece of shit of all. Everything you do is always super hyper woke. So and you had an opportunity, you won one, and now you're saying, okay, well, it's really disappointing when I look at this trophy. Well, you could have just turned off your fucking Zoom then and just done something then. You take a stand on everything else. Incredible Hulk, incredible douche. This was your time to really do this. Now I'm pissed off. Like, yeah, it's really easy to sort of like say a bunch of shit after NBC sort of got pressured into canceling a show, which the ratings were bad anyway. So, you're really on a stand there, NBC, saying that you're not going to air a show that didn't do well for you. Whoopity-doo. That's my rant. I'm just sort of like pissed off at this hypocritical shit. You want to be a star, then you should have said something right there when you won the award. Because let's look at Mark Ruffalo's timeline. That's all he does. Woke, 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 woke. Well, I guess you didn't really mean it, did you? Now you do.
I understand.
I'm still going to watch Avengers, though.
Yeah, I can't wait till we have everyone tune in next week for your take on the SAG Awards.
The SAG Awards?
The Screen Actors Guild.
Oh, okay. Yeah, that's another one where it's a few months later. So
isn't that the next one after the Oscars, Golden Globes? Is the SAG? Is it BAFTA? I don't even know. I don't know what's next.
I always thought
whatever it is, you will be there to rant on.
I always thought it sort of closed with the Oscars. I could be mistaken on that, but that's how I thought it ended. I could be mistaken on that. But so anyway, since Mark Ruffalo, you're a wonderful person, and I've got a person of color who's got something that he thinks about everything here. A special guest star of the show. Oh, here we go. So Iron Sheik, he's here. What do you think about Mark Ruffalo and his a little bit late wokeness?
Action bullshit!
Yes, thank you, Sheiky baby. That's it.
We have to start paying him more.
And then we might get some more sound bites up. Yeah, that's sort of the one thing that just drove me up the wall. Like you're doing this now. You even thanked the Hollywood foreign press. You even knew. All of you knew. Assholes. That's it.
Well, should I go the good, bad, the ugly after that? How do I transition?
Yes, we definitely can sort of do that. Let's
right.
we gotta count that in here. Here we go. Oh. Best effects in any Hall of Fame related weekly podcast.
100%.
Mm-hmm.
So anyway, my good is actually from the NFL schedule release.
Okay.
So Tom Brady makes his return to New England.
Mm-hmm.
And usually when they have a big game like that, they tend to be like November because that's sweeps time. And they say those games like week 9 through like week 12, generally. Whenever Brady and Manning played, it was usually in November, sometime around there. But they came up with week 4 for Brady coming to New England. It's October 3rd. I'm like, why would they do it week 4? I have a good reason why they're going to do it week 4. Can I read you the all-time passing yards leaders in NFL history?
Oh, okay. Yep.
Number 1, Drew Brees, 80,358. Number 2, Tom Brady, 79,204. Meaning Brady needs 1,154 passing yards in order to become the all-time passing leader. 1,154 passing yards seems like a little over 3 games, doesn't it?
Yeah, that sounds about right. I think Drew Brees is going to be calling the game on behalf of Yahoo Finance.
Wow, that's a deep cut from 2 years ago, my friend. I appreciate that.
Not a problem.
But yeah, I think they set this up so that Brady is going to break the passing yardage record in New England.
Oh, I think you're right. I never even thought of that. That makes perfect sense.
Which I think, but I was like, why would they do it that early? And I think that's the reason. They want to set it up so he'd have the best chance, and maybe he has 3 incredible weeks, and he breaks it week 3, and then he can come in and they can cheer him for everything and put that he's the all-time passing leader. Mm-hmm. But if not, and it takes the week 4, he can spend most of that game counting down where the fans actually cheering for him with every yard that he passes for. And if anyone thinks that Brady, because he left New England and went to Tampa, is going to be booed in New England, you have another thing coming. There may be some people who boo. But I can tell you, no state was more pro-Buccaneers, or no area was more pro-Buccaneers in the last Super Bowl than New England.
You can't get mad at someone who gave you 6 Super Bowls. Like my buddy big Knicks fan, and he always when he wants to get me going, especially when we would go out to the bar, he just said, "Yeah, well, Vince Carter left," because me being a Raptors fan, and so because it took me years to get over that, just the way that all happened. And so it was really surprised. Like, how come you're not upset that Kawhi left? Well, brought us a title, and he never once said he was going to stay.
Right.
Like, how do you get mad at somebody who got traded there? Never once made any kind of commitment. Never trashed the team. Just did his own thing and brought a title. That's it.
Yeah,
I mean,
that's a pretty good year.
Yeah. Oh, it is. And well, yeah, 6 titles. You're God, the only real dynasty in football over the last 20 years. It's pretty hard to sort of say, okay, you know what? You want to leave the cold for a bit. You want a different challenge. Who doesn't respect that?
100%. At the same time, though, I want the Patriots to beat him so he doesn't beat all 32 teams.
Oh, shit.
So
I never thought of that.
Yeah, the only 2 players have ever beaten all 32 teams. I know Manning's one. I can't remember who the other one is.
Would it be Favre?
Off the top of my head. It may be Favre. Yeah, so anyway. But yeah, I just like that quirk of the schedule. I'm like, why would they do it week 4? And I'm pretty sure that's why. That he could pass they've set it so he has the best chance of breaking the passing yards record in New England, which is cool.
Oh, another one that would have been good for elevator down. I could have said Brett Favre. He's not exactly having the best 2 weeks. So when he comes up due for the U.S. Hall, huh? Holy crap.
Yeah.
$600,000 he owes the state of Mississippi for not doing whatever the hell he was supposed to do. Speaking engagements or something?
That's half their annual budget.
There's a bunch of other jokes I could probably make, but I don't want to offend the fine people of Mississippi.
No, I don't mind defending the fine people of Mississippi. Mississippi's the unofficial state motto. Mississippi, feel better about your own state.
Wow. Wow. And this wasn't even set up. All right.
Alabama, at least we're not Mississippi.
Yes.
So the bad this week.
Oh, I'm
going back to soccer.
Can I do one more Alabama? Alabama.
Oh, please, go ahead.
Alabama, if you look at the way we're built, our ass faces Mississippi.
Fair enough.
Thank you.
So my bad this week, I'm going back to soccer, but this time I'm going to the MLS.
Oh, okay.
So do you know who the reigning champion of the MLS is right now?
I should. Is it Portland?
It is the Columbus Crew.
Oh, okay.
Or should I say, the organization that is now going to formally be known as the Columbus Crew.
They're moving?
So they are not. They are changing their name.
Crew is offensive?
Well, no. So here's what happened. So let me give a little back history for those of you who don't pay attention to MLS expansion and everything. The MLS has tons of soccer teams. I can't remember if we're up to 27, 28, 29, whatever it is now. It's a ton of them. And there, for a couple of years there, the previous owners of the Crew were kind of robber barons and trying to hold up the state for a new stadium. And otherwise, they're going to be moving to Austin, Texas. And so they had a whole hashtag Save the Crew thing to try and keep the team in town. And they ended up actually getting the people who wanted to move the team to Texas to sell. And Jimmy Haslam, who owns the Browns, ended up buying the team and said that he'd keep it there.
Okay.
So then they started floating the idea they're going to change the colors from black and gold and dump the Crew, which pretty much Crew fans are, because of the team was going to move, are some of the most rabid fans in the MLS.
Mm-hmm.
And after this whole thing, and they actually won the championship last year, after saving the team, like, it all galvanized around that. Because remember, Columbus has 2 professional sports teams. Well, 3 if you include Ohio State football.
Yeah.
They have the Blue Jackets, and they have the Crew.
Yeah. You know, I went to a Crew game.
I'm sorry?
I went to a Crew game.
You did?
Yeah. My wife were in Columbus when your dollar was super strong, or ours was super strong. So we just did a whole shopping trip, and yeah, for $18 I went to that place. Yeah, that stadium did kind of suck, but I had a whole lot of fun. Columbus beat Chicago 1-0.
That's another team that did a terrible rebranding, the Fire. Don't even get me started on them. They're not the Fire anymore. But they went with this. They had their original logo had the 3 guys on it with the hard hats.
Yeah.
And then they went to a more corporate logo, but still okay. It was almost like Maryland's flag, where they had like 2 corners had the checkers, and then there's other stuff. It was fine, but it was still the Crew. Now they've gone to change the name to Columbus SC for Soccer Club, and they've eliminated the Crew name altogether for reasons nobody understands. And their rollout video for it is awful. You should just go look at their rollout video. They had to have found the single worst voice actor in the state of Ohio for that. I don't know if he was meant to project toughness or whatever, but he's awful, and it just sounds wishy-washy and terrible. And this fan base, which has been united around the Save the Crew moniker, which absolutely galvanized them, it's like their thing, they eliminated 2 years after buying the team. And the disapproval rating amongst Crew fans is approximately 173%. They are furious with this new owner who saved the team and brought them a championship within their first 2 years, and then did this without consulting anybody. And they knew that the fans are going to be upset about this, and they did it anyway for no reason.
Unless they think they're going to sell more merchandise with this shit. It's one thing when you kind of, I don't know. I guess sometimes this happens all the time in sports where they try to tweak the uniforms and they think everyone's going to buy the new stuff. Sometimes you can make little slight adjustments and that's going to work. And then or there are other times when you go remember the New York Islanders bit where it was that rugged fisherman?
The Gorton's fisherman?
Yeah.
The Gorton's fisherman?
Yeah. Where it's what the hell does that have to do with anything? It was so bad. Not that I think the Islanders logo is all that good to begin with, but it was theirs, and there's tradition. When you win something wearing whatever the hell it is, it could be red suspenders for all that matters, or all dressed like Don Cherry and shit like that. It creates something. It's stylistically, is the Montreal Canadiens jersey all that good? Modernly, no, but it carries so much tradition to it.
Right.
that it's awesome.
Yeah, the greatest logo in sports history is still the Hartford Whalers, but they never won anything. So.
Yeah, I loved also too how when they had their AHL team Binghamton, which was also I think the Whalers, all they did is just rotate it 90 degrees. See, that's a B now.
Oh, the Whalers! I miss that team. That was fun. Like the New York teams with the Whalers, like right there, Buffalo, Montreal, Quebec. That was the best time. So,
those classic Montreal Hartford round 1 game series.
Come on, Hartford never made the playoffs.
But MLS is the worst for this, though, Evan. Like, they've got the worst team names in all of sports. Real Salt Lake. Real, really? What's the Hispanic population in Utah?
Well, but except for the fact that Real Madrid owns that team.
I didn't know that. It's still stupid. Right,
but that's why a lot of these ones have those names, is that they're owned, like New York Red Bulls are owned by this Red Bull, who also own Red Bull Salzburg, the Austrian team. So, like, is it Inter Miami? Inter Milan owns the team. Like, so there are a whole bunch of Chivas USA, which is folded, used to be owned by the Chivas team in Mexico. So there's reasons for it, for that reason. But, Real Salt Lake does sound kind of weird. The only team, by the way, that has not rebranded from the original MLS is the Revolution.
I didn't know that Chicago changed their name. What are they now?
The Chicago FC.
Lazy.
Yeah, it's just boring. It used to be, was it Chicago Fire FC? I don't even remember.
It was the Fire.
Chicago MLS team. But yeah, but they did a rebranding that everybody hates.
To be fair, though, Toronto, though, they just went with FC, and I know they're owned by Maple Leaf Sports.
Yeah. Sorry, no, it's still the Fire, but have you seen their logo? Go look at their logo. It's awful.
All right, I'll have to do that after. Last time I guess it's different than what I remember.
Yeah, so the Revs are the only team that hasn't changed anything. And that's mainly because I don't think the Crafts know they own a team.
So we close off with the ugly. Now, this one I know what you picked, and it's getting uglier all the time.
Here's the true power of wokeness, my friend. Wokeness can cause a horse to fail a drug test.
I know where you're going with this. Yeah.
Yeah, Bob Baffert, first of all, horse racing. Bob Baffert won his 6th Kentucky Derby, a couple weeks ago, whenever it was. And his horse, Medina Spirit, tested positive for a banned substance afterwards. First of all, horse racing, that announcement that the horse failed the drug test should come from you and not from the horse's trainer.
So not straight from the horse's mouth?
Or if you can get it straight from the horse's mouth, that's fine. But not from the mouth of the horse's trainer. If the horse himself can explain what happened, I'm in for that.
I don't know what happened. I just sort of left a bottle there, and then, I think someone might have tampered with it. That's kind of what Ben Johnson did.
The first thing that was going around was that there was allegation that somebody drank cough syrup and then peed in the hay, which the horse then ate. That was the first one. The second one is that Bob Baffert claimed cancel culture for his horse being caught because the Churchill Downs said that if they were doping, that they shouldn't be doing that, basically. And that America is different now. We live in a different world now because of cancel culture. So apparently horse racing, drugging your horse was fine up until 4 years ago.
Well, it was only when the male horse drugged the female horse and without their consent.
Oh yes, what they call the A hoofy.
Oh, fuck. Damn it! I thought I had the best one-liner of the show, and now you fucker. I can't top that.
That just came to me. I felt bad. It popped in my head as soon as you said it. I felt bad. I would like to apologize for having thought that in the first place.
Oh, you're apologizing to the female horses who might be offended, who were listening? But, okay, I couldn't read that. I didn't read that article when it came up because I just, I'm not going to read about how this guy says he got canceled. This can't be. Okay, so why did he say cancel culture? Was it just for that reason?
It was just the way the announcement came out. It just he didn't like the announcement for Churchill Downs, and I don't know. With all the noise going on, as you said, that Churchill Downs' statement was harsh, and that with all the noise going on right now, we live in a different world. This America's different. It is a cancel culture kind of thing.
You're being canceled because you cheated.
Well, the steroid tested positive for was betamethasone, which they're now saying the horse had something with the hoof, down by the hoof, had essentially dermatitis, and was being given an ointment so that there wasn't chafing and all sorts of other stuff. And that ointment had the thing because there was 16 picograms of this substance in the blood sample. That's such a tiny, tiny amount. So it's entirely possible that it could have been a topical ointment. But at some point, it's not the horse who's responsible for what's in their body, but the trainer is responsible for every single thing that goes on the horse. The doctor says, hey, you should use this. You should probably find out what's in it before you give it to the horse.
I'm surprised he didn't hire Ryan Braun to try and come up with an excuse.
Ryan Braun definitely came up with the peeing in the hay excuse. For those of you who don't know, I think Ryan Braun is the most despicable man in sports. And I hope that every single day he is mildly inconvenienced for at least 10 minutes for the rest of his life. I just want him to be needing something and constantly locking his keys in the car, or having a slow air leakage of his tire that causes him to have to constantly go and get his tires refilled with air. Just something to make that man just suffer a little bit annoyingly, because he's a jerk. And I hope the Milwaukee Brewers never win anything as long as he's on the team. Not because I have anything against the Milwaukee Brewers. I actually wore a Milwaukee Brewers hat for much of high school, believe it or not. But just that man is a hideous and odious human being. So
I wonder when they take the horse sample. I guess there's someone there to make sure it's really coming from the horse, huh? I'm just thinking about that. There's somebody whose job it is to look at horse piss.
Yeah, I had a girlfriend once whose job was to study the mating habits of fruit flies. So she actually had to put little dots in the fruit flies so she knew which one was which, and watch them mate for 8 hours a day.
All right, no, the jokes that are coming to my mind, I'm going to hold off.
Wow, we're learning.
Yeah, I know. Right? There's a first. I'm using tact.
Slowly but surely, we can be taught.
Yeah.
So.
Well, the horse gets to continue, though, right?
So cancel culture causes horse drug tests, just so you know.
That is the biggest leap of mental gymnastics. And I've railed against cancel culture myself on this show. This isn't it.
No, this is not.
Wow. Well, I guess we're going to end the show with horse piss.
We've ended on worse.
We have definitely ended on worse. Next week we might go back live because hopefully I don't look again like a Mexican luchador mask. I do have a Mexican luchador mask. If I still have one, maybe I'll just put it on.
You should have just worn that.
I probably should
Just still
have.
on the show.
Well, we're still doing the show. It's just,
I know. I mean, live. That's fine.
yeah. Well,
I just think you got camera shy after the first time. So
no, it is admittedly easier to edit when it's just audio, but no, it wasn't that at all. I'm camera shy now because again, I look like a rock lobster. We'll call back to the B-52s. Huh?
yeah. Well, hey, they may be getting a call from the Hall next year. I have just one other thing I want to say before we get off.
Yeah.
For those of you who think it's a good idea, last year we have PSAs about not injecting bleach. We also had PSAs about not eating Tide Pods. My PSA for right now, don't fill plastic bags of gasoline and put them in your trunk.
This is the darkest timeline.
Just if you need extra gasoline, you feel like there's going to be a problem and you need to hoard it, like there's going to be a problem for 2 days, everything will be okay by like the weekend, right? So if you really need it, get yourself like, I don't know, a gas can and fill that up. Filling up gallon or like 15-gallon yard bags with gasoline, tying them off and putting them in your trunk, not a good idea. And if you do so, please make sure you're backing up responsibly.
And don't drink and drive.
Don't drink and drive, yeah.
Or don't bother the driver while they're drinking.
I think I told you once, in 2008, I went to, I was celebrating the 4th of July in rural Virginia, and a guy showed up in a Ford Fiesta with homemade dynamite he had made from watching a YouTube video. It was all in the back of his Ford Fiesta. He drove into the yard and just started throwing lit dynamite out the car and into like the yard, which was crazy. We were out in this like horse farm, and he just had it in the back of his trunk. And I'm just like, oh my God, had he been rear-ended on the way here? So people do dumb things. One of them is putting gasoline in yard bags. Don't do it.
How did your country become sort of the leader in everything again?
Well, I mean, that's how it became the leader in lost fingers.
Ask Jason Pierre-Paul.
Yeah. Well, yeah, it wasn't dynamite, but same sort of idea.
I'm sure it was a good idea at the time. Yeah, I guess he's
very well have been.
So he's got a Super Bowl ring now. He's got to be really pissed off because if Brady can get him a few more, like he's going to run out of fingers before anyone else.
He's got a couple because he beat Brady and the Patriots in 13, right?
Oh shit, that's right.
He got 2.
Damn. All right, well, I think we'll end with JPP's digits.
Slightly better than horse pee.
Yeah, we'll go with that. It's an end.
It's an end. All right, man. I'll talk to you later.
All right. Stay safe, everybody. 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 Stay safe, everybody.